and then turn, and I see the car driving, and just start running after this Uber, and it is like a situation where I'm running, and then the car hits a red light, and then I'm getting closer, and then it drives away, and it hits another red light, so it's like, oh my God, and I'm like panting. Hey, it's Joe. I'm here to talk about my new album, The Crux. I think it's kind of just a line in the song Basic Being Basic. I think that turn of phrase, I think you're scared of being basic, is really just kind of like a challenge to try to be more of yourself. I think you're sort of really scared of being yourself in a way. And yeah, I feel like everybody is kind of confronted with that on a daily basis, or kind of feels like the pressure to sort of fit or conform to something just because other people like it. And it's something that we all kind of inherently know, but it's difficult when you're faced with the task of trying to just be true to who you are. It's important in life to remember that, you know, all relationships in your life are equally, maybe not equally as important, but, you know, your friendships are as important as the energy you put into them. So the more energy and love you kind of put into them, the more you'll get out of them, I think. Oh God, I wish I could delete ya. So the idea for Delete Ya, I think, is the actual kind of riff started on the guitar, and I was kind of traveling from project to project, doing a couple different acting jobs, and was traveling with an acoustic guitar, and came up with the idea when we were, I think, in this town outside of Naples, Italy, shooting at this kind of cool palace place. And it was we were actually shooting at like a in a gravel pit. It wasn't really a palace. We were just staying kind of close by, so I'd run through this place. Out of all the songs on the album, I think this one, it started in one place and really ended somewhere different. It was a little slower. The structure was different. I had the satisfaction of kind of like me and Adam really pushing this one over the finish line, and wasn't sure if it was really going to make it. It was something that we were all excited about, but it was kind of a fun one to sort of like put your head down and in the 11th hour kind of figure it out. So the production started, I guess, when Nick introduced me to Lee over at Electric Lady and toured the space, and was like blown away by it. And this was right before I was about to go shoot for a year in Atlanta. That would have been November 2022. Basically, just any downtime that I would have, I was kind of, or this was even before that, I guess, actually, because 2023 I was still working on other stuff, and then 2024 I was doing Stranger Things. So basically, any off time that I was presented with, I was just going there. And, you know, the sound of the album, I feel like, is really influenced by the fact that we were bringing things in not fully formed at all, just bringing in these little ideas and then fleshing them out in the studio, just the way that maybe you would do in the past, rather than the past two albums were kind of bedroom recording albums primarily. So basically, I was just spoiled by being able to be in a studio, and Nick spoiled me and was like, yeah, we could do that. And we were able to kind of capture things as they were happening rather than try to recreate maybe some sound that we liked. And then, yeah, it was about like 2 years really of kind of writing and recording and writing songs and ditching them or coming back to things. And it kind of started solidifying at the end of 2024. And, you know, everything happens for a reason. It all kind of falls into place. And I'm very happy with how it all shook out. Get food, barely eat. Many artists, yeah. And I guess also artists from the past too, because of the way that we were doing it. You can hear a lot of different things on all these, like, so LCD Soundsystem comes to mind, but MGMT and the Strokes, but then also kind of like Nick Drake and Led Zeppelin and Fleetwood Mac and Supertramp, Carole King and the Cars, Springsteen for sure. It's my first concert. My parents love him. Obviously, you know, Paul McCartney and the Beatles, and I'm a big Paul head. I love that guy. That's ironic 'cause it's reading like I worked with the album cover with my friend Jake Hirschland and Neil Krug, who's done a bunch of amazing album covers. He did The Slow Rush, and he's worked with Lana Del Rey and just a bunch of amazing people. We kind of were thinking about like something New York centric, because that's where I recorded the album. We were thinking about like kind of a rooftop And also just making it more maximalist, because the last two albums, the first one is very simple. The second one was like, how can we do very simple but just a little bit more? And I like a simple image for sure, but I kind of wanted to emulate sort of some of the reference points that we talked about, mid to late 70s. It almost feels like it slightly illustrated with the way that it's put together and the composition of the image. I thought it would be cool to kind of like link it to the song, and this Crux hotel sort of represents this in-between space people might find themselves in when they're in a point in their life when they're neither here nor there, in the in the middle of this maybe change. And me hanging out the window, it's kind of like I was sort of going through some crazy stuff in my own life, and that's just one part of that whole big story. There's a bunch of other people, like there's the woman walking with the rain cloud on top of her head, and then there's the man doing VR, and then there's aliens coming to Earth. So yeah, and then the reverse cover kind of being like a different perspective on the same thing sort of brings home that it's kind of from my perspective. And also sort of me jumping out the window is kind of like I'm moving on from that point. I'm moving on from the limbo. All of my life, just to find I guess just like meeting young people who are really excited about it. I don't know, I met this kid recently at the airport who was a really big fan of Stranger Things, and just like taking a photo with this kid and him saying like, I love Steve Harrington, is like amazing. Not related to the album, but that's like very cool. Yeah, we've had a bunch of great experiences. Doing the Laneway thing was fantastic. It's such a great festival. Real attention to detail in terms of just taking care of their artists and making sure that, we've got a big band. We got like 7 guys. So everyone was like enjoying being on the road, and we had downtime. We got to explore. So hard to pick just one city. It's been fun. I'm kind of like a newbie to this. I never really toured before. I did some shows around the Midwestern area, but I never got the opportunity. So this is really just kind of like a wish fulfillment thing for me to be like, let's just do it. Let's do it real. No, you never really expect that. I knew that Nick was trying to, everybody in the friend group was trying to make that song a single, and for whatever reason I was like, I don't really think so. But everything happens for a reason, and definitely did not expect it, but cool, obviously, to now play this song live and you have like a bunch of people singing it back to you. It's like just so amazing. In terms of this new album, I don't know. I think I have a couple songs that I think are, at least were done in a similar way to that song, the process of maybe making the song. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if like that process again connects with people. But it's also not lost on me that at the end of the day, it's just kind of like you throw something up in the air and either it'll catch a wave or not, and it doesn't really matter, as long as I think like hopefully the people that have been fans will like it and connect with it. That's important to me. That's ironic 'cause it's reading like my parents were visiting me in New York. I was trying to just do a bunch of stuff with my parents. We went to a show, got bagels, like all the classic New York stuff. I don't know why, but I had my favorite like $10 sunglasses that I had for a couple years. They're just crappy sunglasses, but they're great. And then the hard drive, which had all the songs that we had recorded, every single thing. And we were in an Uber, last minute, I was like, oh, we gotta get out here. We gotta get a piece of pizza at this place. And got out and immediately realized that I had left the hard drive with all of the songs, not even just the songs that are on the album, but like a bunch of shit, like in this Uber. And take out my phone died. So can't call this place, or can't call the Uber driver. And so I see my parents over here and they're like, sorry, hon. And then turn, and I see the car driving, and I'm wearing shoes that are kind of like this. They're like just Oxfords or something, and just start running after this Uber. And it is like a situation where I'm running, and then the car hits a red light, and then I'm getting closer, and then it drives away, and it hits another red light. So it's like, oh my God. And I'm like panting, and then it takes a turn, and I go down, and I finally make it to it. I'm like on this guy's window, like on the back of this thing, and they slam the brakes, and then I go up, and it's a different guy. It's a different Uber. It's like not the Uber driver at all. And I'm like distraught. Fuck, oh my God. So I have to, again, run, because I'm so scared that somebody's just gonna get into this Uber and see this hard drive and be like, sick. This is a hard drive with a bunch of stuff. This is like, my name and like the dates. Something horrible. I don't think it's even password protected. Then I go back to the hotel, I charge my phone, and thing pops up, and I try to really quickly reach out to this Uber driver. Also, I'm exhausted. So I was like feeling sick, ill from all the running that I had been doing, like sprinting in the adrenaline. My parents came to my room, and they're like, it's okay, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. And then I got back to, the guy got back to me. It had fallen under the seat, luckily, and I paid him $100, and he said, okay, I'll take it over to you, and he brought it back to me, and luckily nobody had stolen it. Thanks so much. This has been great. Make sure to check out my new album, The Crux, on Deezer.